Remember, there was a shortfall of about 250 billion Kenya shillings. And what we currently have in this fiscal year, are we able to attain our targets, or will we end up with other supplementary budgets seeking to reduce the budget or borrow more? That brings us to the conversation of the public debt stock, which stands at 10.56 trillion Kenya shillings. It is a mixture of 49 and 51%. That is 49 external and 51 domestic. What does that mean? We'll also be highlighting on the Article 223. This is an article where you are allowed to, government is allowed to withdraw money, then thereafter seek approval from the National Assembly. We will be highlighting what that means. According to the control of budget, 30 billion is the amount that was requested. She only approved 19.5 billion Kenya shillings, meaning about 11.5 billion Kenya shillings was not approved. Basically, she was not satisfied that the amounts were really urgent, providing that the article allows MDAs to withdraw money only on emergency needs. We'll be highlighting that, and also pending bills that stand at more than 500 billion Kenya shillings. In fact, according to the control of budget, as of 30th June 2024, 516.27 billion are pending bills. And according to the Auditor General, moving forward, she will be considering them as part of the national debt. That means its repayment could be done under the CFS, that is the Consolidated Funds Services. I invite your feedback via social media platforms at K24 TV, at Joel Chacha, as well on SMS and WhatsApp numbers on the bottom of your screens. In the studio, once again, I'll be having FCPA Dr. Margaret Nyakango. She is the controller of budget, even as we focus on Ruto's maiden budget, that is for the financial year 2023-2024. But before getting to that conversation, let's focus on this, where the Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Ogamba has announced fresh efforts by the government to address issues raised on the new university funding model, saying that the government has agreed to form two broad-based working committees comprising student leaders to review the status of the implementation of the university funding model following public uproar. It is a move that has seen student leaders from various universities call for goodwill to be expedited so that short-term remedies can be considered, while a commitment is put for the long-term solution to the problems.
We would like to join hands with our student leaders who addressed the media yesterday, calling off tomorrow's demonstration from insecurity perspective.
Student leaders drawn from different universities across the country have called off tomorrow's demonstrations as earlier intended to pursue for an amicable solution and a resounding win for all students on the issue raised on the new university funding model.
Having checked at the purported infiltration of goons in the planned protest on the 9th of September, that is tomorrow, we have considered for the safety and security of our comrades that street demonstration is not the best route. Now, unless we have no other option left, comrades, we see light at the end of the tunnel, and it is in this interest of this caucus that we would like to give one more chance of a bilateral engagement from both the Ministry of Education, stakeholders, and all affected parties and individuals in the new funding model.
This comes in support of the new approach to form two based working committees comprising student leaders to make recommendations on how to address the challenges facing the new university funding model after conducting a thorough appraisal of the implementation.
As leaders, we appreciate the efforts which have been put place by the Ministry of Education and Government to invent and implement a new type of funding model that they believe could have been the resolution to the high cost of education in our nation as we speak. Even though not yet very satisfactory, the latest proposal by the government to form an all-inclusive committee with representation from student unions into looking at the ongoing appeals and the re-evaluation of the model and come up with a better remedy is worth applause.
Following Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Ogamba's announcement earlier today, saying the two committees will have specific terms of reference and evaluate the effectiveness of means of testing instrument in ensuring that the categorization of students captures their socio-economic realities, the student leaders have called on the government to facilitate the development of strict timelines and for the committee's workings.
We do not want to see the vulnerable students being placed in bands that they do not exist in. We want to see that a vulnerable student is placed in band 1 where they exist. A student that has capacity to pay has to be placed in band 3. And as we have said, band 4 and 5 are to be done away with totally. The last demand is on a reduction of the interest rates that are accrued on these loans that are given to the students.
If they could reconsider that, and as they did the appeals, that was a good move. But they should make haste on it to avoid the challenges that our students are facing.
They have further urged the government, in consultation with university leadership, to cut down the exorbitant cost of hostel accommodation and those with strict fees deadlines to spread the same within the course of the semester.
It will be a revolutionary protest if the government does not do whatever is necessary, because every student will be in universities and will make sure that everyone turns up to the street. If the engagement that we are simply calling for is not upheld for the benefit of providing affordable education, which is the clear intention of the Ministry of Education.
Comrades, power! Power! Long live the spirit of comrades, long live! Long live!
Robbie Omondi, K24.
Away from that, leaders allied to the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua have come out to strongly defend him by demanding that President William Ruto makes it clear if Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah has his mandate to disrespect Gachagua. Speaking at the ACK consecration ceremony in Kayole, Nairobi, the leaders drawn from Central Region have lamented of persecution from the same government they claim to have voted for, evoking memories of the bitter Jubilee government breakup with their Deputy President, now President William Ruto. And as Martin Opio now reports, the DP is castigating not only the DCI on intimidation, but training his guns on government leadership over what he says is consistent lies spewed to the public.
In what appears like a deja vu of the Jubilee administration, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua allies in a consecration ceremony of the ACK Church in Kayole did not mince their word as they took on Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah.
Kama unamtusi namna hii na mambo yakiendelea itakuwaje? Tunamsihi ndugu yetu, tafadhali wacha kumtusi tena naibu rais. Please be and let the Deputy President be.
I need to understand, and people want to understand, whether the government business ni kuzunguka hii Kenya akitusi Deputy President. Whether that is the government business that he was appointed to lead.
One after the other, Ichung'wah was called out over his recent attacks targeting the DP.
One of the Saturday that you called us at his State House immediately after the tour of Murang'a County. And I remember amongst the many things that we discussed there, uliambia wenye walikuwa na impeachment ya Gachagua that iyo maneno hutaki kusikia na ikome na ikakoma. Meaning, these are your people. Na ukiwaambia wanawacha. Does it mean sahi tena kuna genge ingine ikiongozwa na the leader of majority yenye umeamusha? Dio sasa iende ikisema Gachagua ni tribalist, Gachagua ako hivi, Gachagua ako vile. Bas, ongea.
The supremacy battle pitting Gachagua and Ichung'wah has been on for a while and was in full display during President William Ruto's Bungoma and Nyanza tours. Leaders accompanying the DP are livid that the direction that the Kenya Kwanza government is taking is reminiscent of the tribulations that President William Ruto faced during the Jubilee government.
Na kwa hivyo ndugu zetu waache kukuwa victimized because of their association with the Deputy President. We stood by you The Honorable Rigathi Gachagua was victimized by our brother, who we have also forgiven, just like that verse I have read 77 times, and we have pleaded for his forgiveness. Na sisi tumeendelea.
On his part, Rigathi claims, without going into specifics, that leaders in the Kenya Kwanza government have continued to lie without a care on the implications.
Mimi nasemanga ukweli, and many people have a problem with me. Because for a long time, watu wengi wa serikali wamezoea kudanganya wananchi. Sasa watu wengi tuko nao kwa serikali hawajazoea hii maneno ya ukweli. Wanazoea maneno ya uongo. Sasa mimi nikiongea ukweli wanasema mimi naongea mbaya.
The presence of Odinga in government, they have argued, should not be the source of disrespect for the second in command.
Juzi kumekuja bibi wa pili almaarufu Kikwetu Gachagua, na mara nyingi bibi wa pili anapendelewa kuliko bibi wa kwanza. Kwa hivyo sisi tumeamua kama watoto wa bibi wa kwanza ambaye ni Rigathi Gachagua Rigiji hapa, tumshikilie ili tuone kwamba mama yetu hata nyanyaswa na bibi wa pili ambaye ameingia katika boma yetu.
Harusi tulikubali na mkakuja mkapata bibi wa pili, na sisi tukakubali. Wakati mmepata bibi ya pili, sisi tumekubali na tumesema maisha ivaje nini? Iendelee. Lakini haiwezi kuwa ati tunaleta bibi wa pili ndio tufukuze mama yetu.
The DCI was also on the receiving end on allegations of intimidating legislators with contrary views to the government.
Abduction bado zinaendelea. Intimidation bado zinaendelea. Even I stand here kama vile nasimama hapa mbele yenu, simu yangu na ya mheshimiwa Gakuya haijawahi rudishwa.
Officers were misused in the fourth administration to harass everybody. And by the way, for those who are harassing those two members of parliament, harassment of elected leaders is counterproductive. It makes them very popular. So wewe ukifikiria unawahangaisha, kuwashika kila Friday, kuwasukuma, kuwahangaisha, you make them very popular.
Despite Kenya Kwanza's pledge to never use state offices to frustrate dissenting voices, disappointment is growing among the leadership as they say nothing has changed from the previous administration. But Gachagua is putting up a brave face by affirming that Odinga's presence in the government will not scare him.
And Bwananyuto, don't worry about the ones who have come. Those are Kenyans, they are our brothers and sisters, and we are working together. And there is no problem. Hakuna mtu anaweza kutuambia tusonge. Tutasonga namna gani na juma yetu? Sisi tumeketi. Tumeketi. Sasa wewe ukikuta kiti hakuna mtu ukalie. Lakini ile mtu amekalia hakuna mtu anaweza amuka.
Martin Opio, K24 TV, Nairobi.
Coming hot on the heels of Gachagua's sentiments, National Assembly Majority Leader, that is Kimani Ichung'wah, has also responded or has hit back, calling out leaders that, of course, they are aiming to benefit from their selfish interests instead of prioritizing the people. Accompanied by other Kenya Kwanza leaders, Tigana West Member of Parliament John Mutunga criticized leaders close to Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua for prioritizing politics of dominance and chest thumping without taking the needs of their people at heart. On his end, Igembe South Member of Parliament John Mwirigi lauded the broad-based government approach taken by President William Ruto, saying it was the only sure way of realizing development.
Tukisikia wengine kama wengine nimesikia Nairobi leo wakileta vitisho kusema ati vile tuliondoka kwa serikali iliyopita, hata kwa hii tunaweza ondoka kama hatutafanywa yale mambo ya kibinafsi tunataka. Na ndio kwa heshima tu tumewaambia viongozi wote tusiweke mambo yetu ya kibinafsi mbele ya mambo ya raia.
Wakati unapojitafutia mambo yako ya kibinafsi, mtu anasema anataka ndege ya jeshi, ikikosa sasa tuungane twende tukaitishe ndege. Pesa imepungua kwa ofisi, niambie viongozi sasa tuungane ili niende nikaitishe pesa zaidi kwa ofisi yangu, na sio pesa kwa manufaa ya wananchi, ni pesa ya mimi mtu binafsi. Ndio maana kama viongozi tukasema hatutakuwa na mambo ya umoja wa kutetea mtu kwa mambo yake ya kibinafsi. Na hiyo ndio tulisema kama unataka kutuunganisha ati ili tuweze kumtishia rais, na mtu anatuambia hii mlima Kenya, ile kura yote ilipigiwa William Ruto, ilipigiwa sababu yangu. Tukasema watu wa mlima Kenya hakuna kiongozi walifuata kumpigia William kura Ruto. William Ruto alitembea mlima Kenya, akajuana na watu, akatengeneza urafiki. Usituambie ati watu wa Mount Kenya walipiga kura sababu ya mtu binafsi.
Still, on matters politics, opposition leaders have slammed the Kenya Kwanza government over the looming takeover of operations at JKA by Indian firm Adani. Led by Kalonzo Musyoka, the leaders want the deal put on hold, raising questions as to why such a strategic asset will even be handed over to a foreign firm.
Questions continue to linger in the minds of millions of Kenyans, with the government put to task to explain why and how it decided to engage with Indian firm Adani Group over running operations of Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, the largest facility in East Africa. The Kalonzo Musyoka opposition-led faction have added their voice to the debate, raising concerns over the deal.
Can we sell our international airport? Yani hivyo tu kiholela. Hiyo, of all the scams this country has known, this one, and Adani sell or take over, wamefanya maajabu. Hawakufanya hivyo kwa kufanya secret deals, yani bila kuhusisha umma. Bunge tukimaanisha Senate na National Assembly, yani unasoma vitu ambavyo ni vya ajabu kabisa.
With Adani Group involved in various sectors, DAP Kenya party leader Eugene Wamalwa claimed that the firm could also soon take over operations in the energy sector.
Airport yetu ya Jomo Kenyatta iko ile peano kwa mwinde mwingine anaitwa Adani. Tumesikia ni airport, kumbe hata kwa sekta ya kawi sasa anaingia kwa sekta ya energy. And what we are seeing in Kenya today, the Adani Group was rejected kule Australia. Upande wa Sri Lanka walifukuzwa huko. Upande wa Bangladesh tumekuwa na maandamano hadi serikali ikaangushwa tukiwa na hii Adani Group.
This comes amid claims that Adani Airport Holdings is targeting at least 30 acres around the iconic facility for commercial development and are eyeing a 5-star hotel as it steps up its efforts of taking over operations of JKIA. The President William Ruto-led administration is under immense pressure to explain why the deal was being done under a lot of secrecy and due process not being followed, with claims that the management of the Kenya Airports Authority did forego an open tender process and decided to proceed with Adani to save on time. If the deal sees the light of day, the firm is expected to run operations of the facility for the next 30 years, with the government not being able to construct a competing facility for the same time, as well as upgrade any existing facility without consulting the Indian firm. However, the question remains, will President William Ruto listen to the concerns of Kenyans and put the deal on hold? Only time will tell. Ian Keitani, K24 TV, Nairobi.
And as promised, today being on a Monday, we sit down with the Controller of Budget, that is FCPA, Dr. Margaret Nyakango, after the break, however. But just before that conversation on Ruto's maiden budget performance, we highlight what is on our dailies this morning, beginning with the own publication here at Media Max, that is the People Daily. Splashes of how state failed on school fire. Government did not implement measures by Auditor General on prevention of infamies in learning institutions. That is the People Daily this morning. On the Daily Nation, Ruto, China and dark SGR secrets. As the president pursues the extension of SGR line, the current project continues to struggle with heavy costs, depreciating assets and a web of secrecy over the manner and price at which it was procured, even as taxpayers are slapped with hefty interest payments every year. That is on the Daily Nation. Even as on the Standard, we have painful search where our children, parents of Endarash Academy, asked the authorities, as the authorities look for the missing learners today. It will be day 3 as the caregivers hang onto every hope that the little ones are safe. That is on the Standard newspaper. At that juncture, we take a short commercial break. Keep your feedback streaming in via social media platforms at K24 TV, at Joel Chacha, and as well on our SMS and WhatsApp numbers. If you have a question for the control of budget, she is already in studio. She will be responding to those questions. We'll be back with that conversation. Stay tuned.
The biggest reggae and rhythm show ever on Kenyan television.
You have a ganja man and you wanna forget. Tell them nothing about
Jekyll with the reggae boys.
Okay, you get the new clocks, the daddy. Freeze!
The talking master MC Full Stop.